Hello, and welcome to the Tiny Humanist Podcast, my podcast about knitting, sewing, crochet, and all manner of fibery goodness. My name is Laura, and I'm coming to you from high-level Alberta, Canada, up in the middle of nowhere, where I live with my husband and our pet rabbit, and our maybe soon-to-be dog. We are doing a foster to adopt situation right now. We picked her up yesterday. Her name is Copper. She's a mix, but we're not entirely sure what, because she's a rescue dog, but there's definitely some pit bull in there. But she is beautiful and friendly and playful, and she kind of listens sometimes. So we're gonna have her for a couple days and see how it goes, and we might keep her. Because we have 10 acres, like we need to have a dog running around. Also to keep the deer from eating our willow trees, which happens quite often. But yeah, so we've just been hanging out here, and our garden is coming up. I don't know if anyone cares about that, but it's starting to. The soil is not amazing, but we've added a bit of a supplement to it, and I was trying to weed it yesterday. I only got a third of it done over the past 2 days because there's so many weeds, but it's starting to come up everywhere. So after a couple days, we're gonna water it. It should be good. That was a bit of a tangent. What was I talking about? Yes. Oscar isn't going to be in this room again because he's still chewing on everything. It's kind of turned more into the computer cord, which, you know, it wouldn't be the end of the world if he chewed through it, but I really don't want him to electrocute himself because he's, you know, yay big. It would kill him, and I would be devastated. So he's not allowed in here when I'm not, he's not allowed in here. But yeah, so I'm just going to jump straight into what I'm wearing. This is my migration cardigan. It is by Stacey Gerbman. It's the second time I've knit this sweater. I finished it back in January. The first one I made was for a cousin of my husband. He wanted one for his mom for Christmas. And this one for myself is made out of Knit Picks Wool of the Andes in the Turmeric colorway, which is one of my favorite colors. I have a lot of mustard yellow in my stash and a lot of sweater quantities of this color. I'm gonna end up having like 4 sweaters in the exact same color, just slightly different. But the first one I made, I actually reused a sweater that I bought at the Gap during a Christmas sale. I bought a men's 2XL wool sweater, so it was actually made of wool. And I don't know if anyone's taken apart sweaters before for yarn. I've done it quite often, but it's really easy because it's usually, most things are knit to shape when you buy it at a store, and then they're sewn, like sort of bound together using kind of like a crochet line up the side of the seam. So what you need to do is go to the top of that line and just snip it. Find where it is, snip it, and then you can, sometimes I've had it where you can just pull it and it comes apart the entire seam, which I adore when that happens. It doesn't always happen, but it does sometimes, and that's really exciting. So you can take it apart by the seams, and you do have to cut into the seam at the tops and the sleeves just to get it started, but you can really easily unravel it after that. And I've done that to quite a few sweaters. I have probably about 5 sweater quantities of yarn from sweaters that I've bought at thrift stores, sale sweaters. I have one sweater that I bought at a Value Village, and it was 100% Irish wool, and it was actually something had been knit in Ireland and someone had just brought it to the thrift store. That one was a bit more difficult to take apart because it had obviously been hand sewn together, so I had to find where they had done it, but and it's a raw wool, so I'm thinking I might dye it actually for some hats and mittens and stuff like that, because I occasionally like to dye wool. It's a lot of fun for me, but I might actually make a sweater out of it and then make like a dip dyed from the bottom and the sleeves and stuff. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, this is my migration cardigan. It is a Brooklyn Tweed pattern, as per usual, because apparently everything I make is Brooklyn Tweed. I'm just going to mention that every time. Maybe they'll, you know, recognize me, send me some of their wool. Actually, I want some of their wool, but it's so expensive. But yeah, that's what I'm wearing. So now I can move on to finished objects. I have one. It is my pair of vanilla socks that I was working on last week, or the week before. And they're just my plain vanilla toe up 56 stitch socks. And I mentioned before, but this is with the Patons Kroy stripes. And just so if anyone else wants to do this, if you have small enough feet for it, if you pull from the center and start one sock, and if you use, and it's pretty approximate, but if you use 25 grams out of that ball, you will get another exact same repeat from that same 50-gram ball. You might want to use a different contrast heel, as I've done. And I did a gusset and turn. So if you did something like the Fish Lips Kiss or I think it's a German short row, you could even get more height out of it because you could use more wool for the heel instead of what I've done. But you will get another exact same repeat. Like, these are exactly the same, which is funny. I think they're more similar than when I had my Perfect yarn. But anyway, but yeah, my basic vanilla socks. I still haven't sewn in the ends yet because I finished them and immediately threw them on my chair and forgot about them. But I'll try to do that later so I can actually wear these. All right, and now for works in progress. My first work in progress I've posted about on Instagram. It's another pair of vanilla socks. This time in Patons Kroy Purple Haze, which is beautiful. When you see it like this, you don't even know, you can't see what kind of pattern it would be, but it is so gorgeous. And I have one of these done. It's so beautiful. I'm having so much fun making these. I can totally see where people get obsessed with self-striping yarn. It's so addictive. I did not think I was going to even have one of these finished. But because it's a beautiful stripe pattern, I didn't want to interrupt it with a heel gusset, which I normally do for toe-up vanilla socks. So I just put a marker in where I'm going to cut in the heel and do a true afterthought. And these are for my coworker, who is absolutely obsessed with purple. And she's got quite tiny feet, so it's going to be quite high sock. I wanted to do them half and half, so the leg was as long as the foot. So I've got that, and I've started on the second sock. It's still just little. But as I said, it's very addictive, so I think these are going to be done right away. I don't think it's going to take me long at all. I want to put in the afterthought heel for the other one, though, just so I can see how much yarn I have left over. But for this one, I do have two skeins, because I wanted them to be longer than what I normally have. She's really excited about it. I have been knitting them at work sometimes when it's slow, and she sits right beside me and she just stares at me while I'm knitting them because she's so excited to have them. But that is my first work in progress. My second work in progress is the sweater for the same coworker, also in purple. And I stopped in the middle of a row. I don't know why I did that. I haven't made a whole lot of progress because I have been obsessively making those socks. But I mentioned it in my last podcast. I was going to start the Stranger cardigan, which is also a Brooklyn Tweed pattern. I was going to start that in the Premier yarn, which is just an inexpensive acrylic yarn. Just that one there. And this is in the aubergine colorway. Just going to start that, and so I did. I figured if I say it on the podcast, I have to start it immediately because otherwise I'm going to forget. But I'm on the first panel. Sorry, it's all scrunched up now. It's knit in 5 rectangles. I don't know if you can see that. But the cabling is beautiful, and I really do love it, but it's just a bit... It's not my favorite yarn, and the socks are so addictive that I haven't really done as much as I should have done. But I'm going to work on this later today. I think it's going to be my main project for the rest of the day. But also, what I did is I was getting really sick of shoving this project, and I'd only be able to do 1 skein of yarn in the bag, in the size of project bags that I had. So yesterday, I made myself a sweater-sized project bag. It's a bit fat because it's got 500 grams of wool, the pattern, and the started sweater. But this is what I have. This is the other side. And it's just got a nice linen bottom. And this is interfaced using a fusible fleece, so it's a bit sturdier. But I adore it. I think it's so cute, and it's just really nice to be able to fit the entire project into one bag. And this is the first time I've ever made a sweater size project bag. I don't know what I was taking so long about, but yeah. I think it's super adorable, and it would make a really great pillow if you were traveling. My third work in progress, Elise, this is what you've been waiting for. I cast this on yesterday because I needed to have a shawl on the needles. I've been desperately wanting to make a shawl for the longest time, but I've been caught up with everything else. But yesterday I just figured, you know what, I'm just going to cast it on anyway. I need to. It's been on my mind for weeks. So this is in a bag that was made for me by my husband's aunt, who is incredibly gifted at quilting and sewing in general. She's amazing. This is what she got. And I love being able to see what's inside. And when I went over to her house, she gave me the option of 2 different bags that it took me 5 minutes to figure out which one I wanted. So they were both beautiful, but this is the one I chose. So, Elise, this is the first light shawl. It's all scrunched up on the needles again, just because the construction makes it so it's a bit scrunchy. But I am making this out of Mana Still Uruguay, Alegria. And that is in the, I think it's pronounced Niquil, because that's how it's written, but that could be totally wrong. And the Ella that she gave me. This doesn't have a colorway on it, or if it does, it's been torn off by the tag on the back. But it's just this beautiful, like, pinky purple, gray. I showed this on my first podcast. And then the main color that I picked is this gray. And so, I am not very far in because I just cast it on yesterday. It's upside down. But this is what I've got so far. Again, it's all scrunched up. I am absolutely adoring this though, the laddered sort of striping effect. It's gonna be so beautiful. I'm so excited. I kind of made a mistake though, not on here, but just the fact that I cast it on, because now it's the only thing I want to make. And I feel like the sweater and the socks are going to fall by the wayside, so I might actually put this in the bag and put it aside until I have at least finished one of those projects. And then this could be my new, like, take to work knitting, because it's pretty easy. You just have to remember your short row shaping and when to change your yarns. If it got to the lace, I'd definitely keep it at home because I don't want to make any mistakes on it. And that is the First Light shawl by Veera Valimaki, and I'm loving it. I am really, really loving it. I'm so excited by it, and I want to make it all the time. I need more shawls in my life. I've ordered a lot of sock weight yarn in the last little while, so I think I'll probably be able to make more shawls in the future. So that's all my works in progress. I think I might talk a bit about a future knitting project that I have. So I don't know if anyone knows, but Brooklyn Tweed recently came out with a new collection of patterns called Wool People 11. And you'll all know that I'm obsessed with Brooklyn Tweed. And so I looked it up as soon as, I actually kept refreshing the page because I was waiting for it to come out. And as soon as it did, I looked at the patterns and I bought 3. Brooklyn Tweed patterns are not cheap. They're quite pricey actually. The one pattern was 10 American dollars, which for us is like 14 bucks, and you can almost buy a book of patterns for that amount of money. But the thing about that is they are such amazing patterns and I always love them. So I kind of feel like it's worth it. This, I bought 3. I bought the Belle pullover by, sorry, I just have my show notes here. It's by Ann McCauley. And it's just a beautiful cabled sweater. It's pretty basic. It's got a little bit of shaping. but it was gorgeous, so I thought, sounds good. I also bought the Mossbank pattern, which is also a pullover. It's this marled basic jumper with just a slight contrast edging, which was so pretty. And I just love the basic sort of knit pullovers. And that one is by Kerry, Robb. And the third one I bought, and this one I printed out, and this one is called the Divide pullover. And I just want to show you. It is a twisted rib pullover. The design is absolutely beautiful, but I printed this one off because I really need to have it. I want to make it as soon as I have time to make myself something again. I'm going to show you the printed out pattern. And keep in mind, this is one pattern. It's 39 pages long. This is one pattern. I've printed out a novel. But look at how beautiful it is. I need it in my life. And it's made out of a DK weight. And I think the yarn I'm going to use for it is yarn my friend Elise picked up for me at a Ravelry D-Stash sale last year. And it is this wool gatto. It's in this pale peachy pink. And the funny thing about this stuff is it's 100% wool. It says 100% pure new wool, but it is so soft. There's not a bit of itchiness to this yarn. It's so luxurious, and it was so inexpensive because someone was getting rid of it out of their stash. It's so nice though. I think it's going to be beautiful. That is if I don't buy the yarn in Edmonton, because I'm planning to go to Edmonton this weekend, this coming weekend. I'm sort of run out of a bunch of supplies for the shop, so I'm going to go visit my sister and her twin boys, who are beautifully fantastic. In case anyone's as nerdy as I am, their names are Arthur and Merlin. So, got the coolest nephews ever. And they're also little shitheads. But yeah, if I don't find something that I immediately fall in love with in Edmonton when I go, I'll probably use this because I think it's lovely. And it would be nice and soft and drapey as well, because you can tell when you feel this that it would be nice and drapey. So yeah, I'm definitely going to make that. That's a future knitting, for sure. As soon as I'm done the million of other things I have to do, I'll cast that one on. Among the other dozen sweaters I've planned. Yeah. So, I think I might just blather on a little bit now. Yesterday, when I was doing a bit of sewing for a coworker, I was making some curtains for her camper van out of this absolutely horrendous fabric. It was weirdly stretchy. It was kind of like, I can't describe it in any other way besides a mix of leather and cotton. And I know that sounds weird, but that's kind of what it seemed like. But I got the hang of it after a while, so I just got those done for her. But while I was doing that, I decided to take some of a stash yarn that I had, and it has been in my stash for a couple years now. My husband, for our first Christmas together, before we were married, he ordered me some cashmere yarn from yarn.com, and that is expensive. Like, when he bought it, I think it came out to about $65 a skein. You get a bit of a discount on yarn.com, so I think he paid about $45 a skein, and he got me 6 or 7 skeins of 100% cashmere, Mongolian cashmere. And I used 2 skeins of it to make myself the most ridiculous cabled gloves. They were all individual fingers, and the amount of cabling was ridiculous. Can't remember the name of the pattern, but I might link it in the bottom just so you can go see how ridiculous it is. And the first glove, this was years ago. So the first glove I knit on double pointed needles, and it took me a week to make it, just one. But then the second glove, and this is a tribute to Magic Loop. The second glove, I had just learned Magic Loop, and it took me a day to make it. Granted, that was like the moment I woke up to like way too late, but I did finish it. So Magic Loop, if anyone's struggling or thinking they should try it, please do. It'll save you so much time and energy, in my personal opinion. I'm not a fan of double pointed needles. But yeah, so I took some of this yarn that I had left over. Oh no, I was talking about the gloves. Yeah, I lost them years ago. I have no idea where they are. They're 100% cashmere, super expensive, super intricate. I can't remember where they are. But I also used 2 skeins to make a shawl for my husband's grandmother for a Christmas present when we got married. So that was 2. I have 3 left. One's dusty sort of purple color. I'm not sure what I'm going to make with that. But I had 2 skeins of a 2-ply in a sort of washed out gray. It wasn't my favorite color. It would have gone well with a blue shade, I think, but I don't wear a lot of blues. So what I did is I took my 2 skeins of 100% cashmere yarn and over-dyed them yesterday. This is the tag for them, by the way. And it's really nice. It's just not sort of intimidating when you have something like that and you don't know what to make with it because it's so expensive. But I stuck them in a dye pot with a little bit of dye, and I just used food coloring. The Wilton food coloring with a little bit of citric acid. But I dyed them with a nice mauve overtone. I am so happy with these. I still don't know what I'm going to make with them, but I'm much more likely to use them now than I was before. Does anyone have any suggestions for 100 grams of lace weight yarn? What can I make with this? Because I need to make something. I was thinking of a shawlette, but we'll see. But it's just, I love it. There's got a little bit of purple speckling, and I did a couple of black spots just to deepen the color. I really want to get some acid dyes though. I think when I'm in Edmonton I might check for some at the... There's actually a place called Pam's Woolly Shop in a town right by Edmonton, and I know they sell acid dyes, so I might pick some up. But that's what I filled my time with yesterday when I was sewing, and I'm very happy with them. I stuck them outside on our balcony to dry, and it's been so hot here, they were drying in like half an hour. It's pretty great. Besides that, I've just been working in my garden, and when I'm not at work, of course, trying to weed it. We put a bunch of manure on top of our garden when we were first about to plant it, and let me tell you, weeds do love that. They love it a lot. Some places have like a blanket of weeds. You can barely tell what's an actual like planted plant and what's a weed. So ridiculous. But I'm slowly trying to work on that. But everything's coming in nicely. Besides that, I've just been working. It's a bit slow again right now. And just trying to get everything done. The shop's been doing really well, and big thank you to anyone who's ordered anything. I really appreciate it. It's so much fun to send things away every day. I really need to bust my butt and get some more cross-stitch bags into the shop though, because they go like hotcakes and I can't keep up with how much I send out. Also, that's why I'm going to Edmonton, is because the particular type of cloth that I like to cross-stitch with, I can't buy here, and I can't order it online. So I need to go to Edmonton and pick some up. I'll probably get like a huge bundle so I don't run out. But yeah, I'm really excited to go to Edmonton. It's going to be a very whirlwind trip. I'm leaving, I finish work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm leaving right after I'm finished. So it'll probably take me until 1 o'clock in the morning to get to my sister's house. And then we're going shopping the next day. Got a lot of places to go. I'm definitely going to pop by River City Yarns and give myself a very strict budget, because I have been buying yarn like a mad woman. I actually got my husband to change my PayPal password because I was justifying it too easily to myself, the purchasing that I was doing. I have bought some commercial sock yarn. I posted about this on Instagram. Actually, I have a basket right here. I guess this is going to be my acquisitions. I ordered some yarn from, I think it was Hot Socks Yarn? Yes, I believe so. And that came in the mail. And I'm trying to stock up on my commercial sock yarn. These are just a couple of opal balls, which are gigantic. I always forget how big they are. There's so much in here. I'm going to have so much left over. But I just ordered some of this because I don't have a lot of sock yarn. So I just wanted to build up my stash a little bit. And this stuff was on sale, so it was such a good price at the time. I also got this one. This one is my favorite. I'm really excited to make these for myself. This one was from Yarn Canada, though, I think. I ordered this one from Yarn Canada, and I think these ones came with that as well. Just a couple of Patons Kroy. And these are just going to be a pair of socks for my husband. And also the Purple Haze that I'm making those vanilla socks out of was also part of that order. Another bit of sock yarn that I have in here, though, was sent to me by Sam of Hand Me My Knitting, the podcast. I had sent her a pair of 9-inch circular, I think Chiagu needles, because I bought them to try them, and I hate them. I can't get my hands around it. It just doesn't work for me. And I'm really a big fan of Magic Loop. But I told her that if she wanted them, she was totally welcome to them because I hate having stuff in my house that I'm not using and I'm not going to use. I'm not a hoarder at all. I lack sentimental attachment to things as well. If I'm not using it, it has to leave. Which, you know, if anyone ever gets me a present and they don't find it in my house, sorry, but I'm not going to keep it if I'm not going to use it. But she said she would love to have the set as long as she could do a trade. So she said that I should look through her stash and see if there was anything I wanted. And everything. I want everything. But I told her to surprise me, but she really wanted me to pick something. So I picked her Knit Picks Felici in the Time Traveler colorway. And she sent me two. And this is amazing. These are definitely going to be socks for my husband, which I'm really kind of irritated about. But we're such big Doctor Who fans that he needs a pair. And it's so soft and squishy and beautiful. I'm so excited to make them for him, just to see the stripes. As I said, I'm becoming obsessed with stripes, so I need some. But she also sent me a skein of this black stroll tweed, which is so exciting because I'm gonna probably end up collecting a lot of stroll tweed and I want to make some Franken socks with them. I want to make some Franken socks anyway. I'm so excited for all of these skeins to be partially used up so I can just knit a weird pair of socks with every leftover. My feet are so small though, I'd probably be able to make like 3 pairs of socks with all the leftovers. But this is just like a small sampling of the yarn that I've purchased. I'm expecting a few packages in the mail over the next week. I've gone a little bit crazy, but I did put a cap on it. I have to. Otherwise, I'm not going to make any money this summer. It's just going to be in yarn. But I'm really happy with what I've ordered. I've ordered from a couple places that I've wanted to for a very long time. I finally got the chance to do some impulse ordering, which I've never gotten to do before. But there's a couple of indie dyers on Instagram where they posted a picture of something. And I thought, I want that. I will have it. And I got to order it. And I really like that. To be able to do that every once in a while is pretty special to me because I love supporting indie dyers and pattern designers. Like my Ravelry library is almost at 300 patterns right now because I will purchase a pattern if I even think I might make it. Like it doesn't have to be a guarantee. I will buy it because I want to support that person and make sure that they know that their patterns are appreciated. But that's just kind of how I go. That's why I've been ordering. That's the reasoning I'm giving for all the ordering I've been doing. But yeah, so my next episode should have a good acquisition section, I think. Um, but yeah, I should probably go and work on my knitting a little bit more. I'm trying to get that cardigan done by, if not the end of this week, then the end of next week, I would prefer, just to get that out of the way. I've got a couple more things to make for my coworker, but they're all a little bit more easygoing, I think. This one is a bit more in-depth than I think everything else that she wanted. So I'm going to work on that. Maybe put the heels into that one sock, or the heel. I guess it doesn't need to. Put the heel into the sock. Work on the second sock a little bit more. But yeah, I'm just gonna go and enjoy the summer sunshine. It's so hot here, it's ridiculous. I mean, I can't go outside for too long, but it's so lovely that I can't resist. So yeah, I hope everyone has a good time. If you like, join our Ravelry group. It's Tiny Human Knits Podcast in the groups tab on Ravelry. You can follow me on Instagram. Subscribe to the podcast if you like. Yeah, so I'm gonna go, and I hope everyone has a lovely knitty day and enjoys the weather. So, goodbye!